Check. I didn't know I didn't have the music on. Fuck that. That was dumb. Let's just start that from here, shall we? I thought I was going to be all ready, and I wasn't. Thank God I can edit that out later. Hi, everybody. I'm glad I wasn't like talking to myself going, fucking. But who gives a crap? Hi, hail, welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. Let's talk about the asshole Tom King, shall we? I want to talk about the asshole Tom King. I know there's the good Tom King out there, but then there's this Tom King. So let's start with this. I saw this, Malin tweeted this. I'm reminded of a time of comics' lowest moment in the mid-50s after the Senate investigation when we lost so much. I'm reminded of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby who came out of it. And I didn't give up and I said, fuck it. Let's try something cool. Aim for new heights. What have we got to lose? Well, Batman lost his balls. So I'm reminded of a time when Batman's balls were still attached. That's what I tweet. It's a little salty, but let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to a couple of years ago. Was it a couple years ago? I think it was a couple years ago. Remember the wedding? Remember the wedding? The Batman Catwoman wedding where she left him at the altar, and that was the beginning of the slow detachment of Batman's balls from his crotch by Tom King. The very sad Tom King. Thank God. Did that guy actually work for the CIA? I heard that. Thank God he doesn't work for the CIA anymore. That's all I've got to say. I mean, I would rather have him, CIA writing bad Batman. I'll get back to you on that one. I'm not too sure what's worse. But, dude, so they do this Batman wedding thing, and they send out invitations, and they get the comic shops involved, and people are actually going to do mock weddings. I even heard that there was going to be a real one. Now, I don't know if that happened or not, but I do know there was mock weddings. I do know there's a person we used to talk to on this channel, Feisty Fan. She was a comic shop. She, I believe, still is a comic shop employee. And they were like, everybody was doing all the events, and then the wedding didn't happen. They completely duped the comic shops, and the word got out a little early. Basically, somebody blew the whistle. I can't remember exactly every detail of it, but it ended up effing the comic shops. Tom King knew this was happening. He was complicit. He tried to pretend he didn't know anything, but he wrote the damn story, so he knew what was going on. And it was just a big, complete switcheroo. They screwed over the comic shops, essentially. They subverted our expectations, everybody. Sound familiar? Comic shops weren't happy, but they bent the knee eventually. There were some Facebook groups that knew about this. And again, there was comic shop employees, I'll keep it plural, but it was actually just one, who was trying to blow the whistle on this one. And Tom King ratted that person out. Tom King's a rat. Tom King's a piece of crap. And then for him to come out and have the sheer fucking hubris to put that stuff out as comic shops are closing. Folks, this isn't something we can hunker down and survive. Z-list comic book celebrities, I'm talking to you. Now, you are not solely responsible for the death of the comic book industry. I know that. Quick lesson. The direct market is. The direct market stifled the growth. I'll try to keep this within a couple of minutes for people who don't give a shit. Comic books are an industry that's pretty close to socialism. It has been propped up by the direct market and a lot of rules that protect it. Digital comics might have had a good chance, but it was comic shops that kept them from being cheaper, from being released earlier. It was trying to appease the comic shops. And believe me, I was 1,000% against digital as a comic book shop owner. Dude, it's my rent. It's my mortgage that I've got to pay. F digital. And also anything, of course, I'm going to state the obvious here, but that's what I do on YouTube. Anything that hits the internet is free 2 seconds later. So it's going to get pirated and there's no way to stop it. Plus, Marvel, in their infinite wisdom, released CD-ROMs that were PDFs that were not with no security on them of Spider-Man 1 through 500, Fantastic Four 1 through 500, X-Men 1 through whatever 100 that you could just burn And that's what's up on the Pirate Bay right now. So it was already, you already let the cat out of the bag. You already screwed the digital market before it even began. Marvel. The thing is, Marvel has always been dicks to comic shops, but I was always a Marvel guy. I thought, because I was optimistic and naive, that Disney buying Marvel would change Marvel. It actually made Marvel worse. Marvel's been the big dog for a long time, and Marvel I would say they own half the responsibility for the death of comic shops, and I would say that they probably want to be done with comic shops. This is what Marvel is now. This is Marvel. This is what they want. This is what Sana Amanat wants. This coffee cup. This is more profitable to them than a comic book. Comic books are just IP holders, and now these Z-list celebrities who work at Marvel, who were sitting on that big cushion of goodwill in a good economy that they were saying was a bad economy. Now you're going to experience a bad economy, Marvel repurposers and recreatives. What you had before was the best economy I had lived through in my 50 years on this planet. The last couple of years have been the best economy I have ever seen in my life. And now you're going to see probably something right around the time of the 2008 recession. Hopefully it's not that bad, which I survived, by the way. My shop survived. It damn near killed me, but I survived it. Shops can't survive this because they barely recovered from the 2008 thing. And people live diamond bill to diamond bill. Diamond shut down yesterday. So I just noticed a couple of comic creatives trying to say, they want to be positive. They want to say we can hunker down and make it through this. I'm sure you can, Brian Michael Bendis and Tom King. I'm sure you're going to be fine. You're writing movies and you've got, a few $1 million. The comic shop owners who you have completely forgotten about don't. And if you lose half the shops, Diamond can't reopen again. I'm guessing unless, The Godfather, I'm just going to call him The Godfather, has a bunch of cash reserves, which maybe he does. But I've heard the opposite. I mean, I've heard rumors. These are rumors that Diamond was in financial trouble for years. And they've just been, pushing it aside. I don't know. I can't say I've got my finger on the pulse. It's been 6 years since I've had a shop. But considering that this industry doesn't change at all, I'm figuring I know what the situation is for a lot of comic shops. As a matter of fact, there was 5 comic shops off the top of my head who I won't name. I'm like, oh, they're going to close. They're done. I just know, I know them. I know how small their shops were. It wasn't for lack of trying. They were just in towns that really can't support comic shops that much. And here we are at the comic apocalypse or comicopolis. And that thumbnail I made that years ago. And I basically, when Comicsgate started, when the movement started about 2017, the politics in comics had started way before that. I could say 2004, 2005, when I first started noticing it. It started getting bad 2012, but the comics were still good. Comics were pretty good through 2005, 2012, but we didn't know that we had let the wolf in the door. The SJW wolf was already in the door, and then they were set free in 2013. Nobody really started saying anything until 2015. Then the YouTubers out, Cummings, Zach, I Love Comics, then AVS later, and all the others. Just Some Guy who's still doing it. That guy's still doing it. And now we're here. And I'm not happy. I'm not happy that the comic shops, I don't want it to look like I'm happy about this. I know some of these people, I know I've been told they don't want my help. I'm not here to help them. I'm more concerned about the comic book fan. I will be honest, as a former comic shop owner, they own a lot of the responsibility too. But who pushed the entire industry over the cliff were the Gail Simones, the Mark Wades, the dance slots. Those because those people, I mean, just a few people alienated half the audience easily. Very large groups of people who were either done with comics forever, or went somewhere else to go buy them, and good for them. But I don't think I don't want to pretend. Listen, I don't want to say I don't think people realize. I'll just say the repercussions of not having a comic book shop, not having that weekly repetition, that habitual nature, which artificially was propping things up. I will completely agree. The thing probably should have died in the 90s, to be honest with you. Comic shops probably should have died in the 90s, but they got propped up. And it worked as a little niche industry, but then Disney bought them, and then it turned into IP holders. And these Z-list celebrities who are saying everything's okay, I'm going to dial it back to them. You're just placeholders. That's all you were. You're not influential. You're not influential to the movies like you think you are. Most of you are not going to get a script made into a movie now. Those days are over. You might get an option, but the chances of your book going to be made into a TV series or a movie, you better pray it's Netflix, who might be the only game in town. After all this, we don't know. Disney is in major financial trouble now, and they own Marvel. And again, I'm going to go back to a podcast I did 5 years ago. What if Disney gets in trouble? Who do they sell, Star Wars or Marvel? Well, clearly it'll be Star Wars right now. But they're going to sell assets, or maybe they get sold outright. I don't know. Who knows? But it would have been nice to have a healthier industry. Could it have survived if it was healthier? Yes. Longer. 2-3 months. Yes, absolutely. And some shops will survive. There's some big shops who are just fine. Okay. Amazing Fantasy Comics here. Frank on Irving. He'll probably be fine. That's a good comic shop owner. Brian will probably be fine. I'm concerned about my old shop, the one I sold to Brian. I doubt he'd want to keep a second shop. He was considering getting rid of it before all this happened. So I don't think it would be economically feasible for him to hang on to something that's not a major revenue stream. That's just my guess. It's speculation. I don't know. I can't imagine my shop being a major revenue stream. That shop required a lot of love and attention and customer service. And I'll be honest, the feedback I've gotten from my old customers is they're very quiet. They're very quiet. They don't talk a lot, and they're very opposite from what I was, which was a jabberjaw in the shop. So James at Isotope will probably be okay. So yeah, I imagine I worry about Mission Comics and Art here. Leaf's a good guy, really nice guy. I want all these comic shops to survive. So I hope I'm dead wrong about this, but I don't think I am. And Diamond shutting down with no date, foreseeable future. That could be it. I didn't even think about that. When I first read it yesterday, I didn't even think about that could be Diamond shuttering. Now, that's extreme. I don't think that's the case, but it's a possibility. And that's it. And we've already broken the habit, the weekly habit, and you're going to lose a ton of customers who are probably... This is how you cultivate a customer in a shop, really quick. I can tell when a guy was just buying habitually because he would come in and he would look stressed. And it looked like, and they did this in obligation to me, which they didn't need to do. It was important that you buy the books that you ordered, but beyond that, you owed me nothing. So I would see, there's a customer, he was a great guy, his name was Dan Boone. And he would come in and he'd always go, God dang it, I don't have time to read this stuff anymore. I'm not reading it anymore. And about the third time that he said that, I'm like, let's go over your list and let's just pare it down to what you're reading. I don't want you to get caught up. And if you can cancel your sub, but right now it's clear that you are not interested in comic books anymore. And you like the idea of them, but you've fell out of love with them because the stories aren't good or stuff. And that's how you keep a customer, because eventually he would just not come in and there would be $400 worth of books in the thing. And it's better to cut that thing off ahead of time and pare it down to like 2 or 3 books and maybe you keep them as a customer, but don't be predatory like, I don't know, Marvel was. And that's how Marvel should have treated their partners in the comic book retailing industry. When they hear or see people are in trouble, or Diamond, work with them before it becomes a problem. When people are starting to be late with their bill, call in. Don't go, when are you going to pay this? Get to that point eventually, but maybe start out with, how can we help? What can we do? What's the problem? Maybe, and they did have mentor programs that might have worked, but it's too late for that shit. It's just too late. And comic shop owners, again, they really don't work well together. And that was it was partially a good thing about the industry because it made every shop unique. GameStops look the same wherever you go. That's boring as hell. I love that every comic shop would be unique. Now, I don't like blank walls. As you could see, my room is set up how my comic shop was. I didn't like things too neat, and I hated blank white walls. I couldn't stand that. It's such a waste. Or free comic book posters in the windows. Gals, don't do that. It looks terrible. So let's welcome some of these people. Yeah, I'm a little fired up about this. And Brian Michael Bendis had something to say too. And Tom King saying that, by the way. So Brian Michael Bendis says, certainly more important things going on, but for those who deeply care, comics are not canceled. They're being made safe right now. When they return, they will be awesome. Stay at home and read comics. I'm a little older than some and remember situations like this, and we got right back to it. Brian Michael Bendis, I am as old as you are. I'm in your age range. We have never seen anything like this. That's a lie. Don't tell people that. That's not true. You are dismissing the shops that are closed. You just disrespected Lee from Lee's Comics. Steven from Blue Moon Comics, who haven't closed, okay? They're thinking about it. And if you're in San Rafael, please support them as much as possible. They're nice guys. Their new release rack had to be reduced to next to nothing. And it's because the comics sucked. It wasn't their fault. They were trying to sell what they could. So yeah, that's not entirely true. Bendis. And then of course we got this, from Bounding into Comics. Whoops. What the hell? Hang on. That's better. All right. Marvel gets roasted following release of New Warriors trailer. Marvel Comics and Marvel Entertainment were absolutely roasted following the release of the New Warriors trailer, which I believe is on YouTube. The video, which has over 650,000 views, has been downvoted over 144,000 times. I would like that to be an example to Star Trek, to Doctor Who, to Star Wars. This thing is loathed, but it's got 650,000 views. Now, that's good for this particular video, but it's not good for the future of Marvel. So this is how you get false data. This is how Parrot Analytics will say, hey, this is a hit. Would you call this a hit? Now, of course, Marvel's making money off this. 650,000 views. 500,000. $5,000 maybe. $5,000. Maybe they get a better rate than the rest of us. Who knows? 144,000 times it's been downvoted. And 3,400 upvotes. Yeah, those are all like, oh, Jesus. Oh, and we did find out, this is according to Twitter, by the way, that Kibblesmith is an associate of one Miss Quinn. Marvel Entertainment, Night Thrasher reunites with Firestar, Rage, and Speedball. Oh, God, I don't want to read this. These comics were too cool for me. Suddenly, this makes a lot of sense. Spoiler, they don't actually fight bad guys. They just group shame them on Twitter. Can't wait for the N-word hero, a black person that doesn't need the N-word as as derogatory. I think that's already been done. And where's it with a badge of honor? That's actually been done. Simon Evans adds, please stop. I'm pissing myself laughing. This has to be a joke because it's not the worst idea ever. This bloke needs to be sacked. People he read that already. And yeah. And then he's nice enough to, I'll read some of those later. Look at that. You put my video in there and Jeremy's video in there. Thanks, John F. Trent. We appreciate you. John F. Trent, future Pulitzer Prize winner. Now, the reason the Nooner's early today is I'm going to be joining young Ripa on a podcast in a little bit, in a couple of hours. So let's get to you guys. And yeah, Diamond, I could not believe that. And it happened while I was on a live stream and it was kind of focused on Doctor Who. So that's why I'm swinging back and doing this. Jeez Louise. And I really don't know where we go from here as far as, and listen, yes, there are bigger things going on in the world. But as I said, I did a Super Chat Square Up before this. I don't talk about the thing that's going on. I'm trying to keep your mind off it by yelling at Marvel and DC, yelling at big companies. That's what I do. Screaming at plot holes and a 30-year-old boy who yells at big companies. And shitty celebrities like Idris Elba. Idris Elba is a shitty celebrity now. He is completely insane. I want to reassure you that this is a serious time. We all need to do our due diligence. And unfortunately, listen to your medical health practitioner and not panic. And we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. This isn't an asteroid coming down and destroying Earth. Okay. So we're going to be okay. And we can talk about a lot of things later. But I think, and plus I don't want to pass. I don't know anything as far as numbers, or I'm just a idiot who used to own a comic shop and was kicked out of 3 high schools. Sci-Fi Nation, I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all doing great. Sci-Fi Nation, $2, 2,169 people watching and 429 likes. Hit that like button. Yeah, hit that like button, everybody. Welcome. Thank you, Sci-Fi Nation. Juan Contreras for $4.99. The old comic shop that I used to buy my comics from would complain that Marvel constantly wanted to take up all of their new comic shelf space with bad comics. They did. This is where Marvel, you're right, Juan. This is where Disney's Marvel killed comic shops with their predatory practices. I mean, one of the latest new releases is going to have 26 to 27 new variants. I can't remember which one, but like America Chavez, is that going to have variants? Is the New Warriors going to have variants? Variants used to be special. There used to be 2 or 3, a sketch variant, a 1 in 100 variant. 26 variants is ridiculous. And Titans Comics, who I loved, did that too with Doctor Who, and screw them for doing that. Those are false prophets. That is skullduggery. That is how this industry has been propped up, with a bunch of lies and scheming. Okay, so remember when Captain Marvel came out in the theaters and it made a lot of money, but people were sitting in empty theaters and they're going, what the hell? Well, there was a conspiracy theory that Disney was buying up their tickets. I don't know if that's true or not. Listen, theater people were calling in. I don't know. I have no evidence of that. But I give you Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics pads numbers with variants. It's the same practice. They release a number 1, they give it 26 variants, and then they say that comic sold 137 copies. Well, it did, but it had repeat buyers. How many buyers did it have? Well, it sold 137 comics with 30,000 buyers. And you see what the buyers are when the shops actually buy it. See, when a shop buys a comic book, that's the shops buying the comic book. So if it's a hit comic book, like Batman Metal, those sell through. So whatever it was, 250,000 or whatever it was, it sells through. If it's Captain Marvel number 15 that only sold 30,000 copies, chances are 15,000 copies were sold and 15,000 copies were unsold. Comic shops, a lot of times comic shop owners don't read their comics and they don't pay attention, and they do the ordering. So they hear Marvel saying, hey, Captain Marvel's the most popular superhero. And they hear the Access Media going, Captain America's the most popular superhero. Shit, I better buy some Captain Marvel. But they don't read it. And a surprising amount of comic shop owners do not read comic books at all. They used to, but they got tired of it, whatever. That's how that stuff gets. And honestly, there's so much to buy. And honestly, comic shop owners, not all of them have the best business acumen, right here included. So they would just, open the previews book and order out of the previews book and quickly base their numbers on last week. Or they do cycle sheets. You do cycle sheets. That's what I used to do. And it works. You get to figure it out after a while. But you're always somehow left with a long, I used to pull a long box off my new release rack every month. A long box of comic books, and it would go straight into my dollar bin and then straight into the quarter bin. And if it was by Kelly Sue DeConnick, it would be one of those very few comic books that went straight into the recycle bin. I didn't want to donate them to schools or anything. Cause you never know. You never know what's in one of these comics. They're supposed to be made for kids. Mark C gave a great super chat. That's in my super chat square up. If you've made a Batman comic that my 8-year-old kid can't read with me, you've failed. You've absolutely failed. The comic book industry is watered down with too much mediocre to crap talent. It needs to be the best of the best, and comic books need to be written in the age range of 5 to 50, like they used to be written. Because talented writers can do that. Hack YA writers. I mean, basically, if you're saying you're a YA writer, sorry, I don't mean to offend, but I'm going to offend. You're not a writer. Because you're automatically expecting to dumb things down for kids. Well, there was no YA there was, but it wasn't called that when I was a kid. There was just Where the Red Fern Grows, or there was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Was that a kid's book? Was Stephen King written for kids? I was reading Stephen King when I was 10, 11, 12. Marvel killed the comic book shops, and they're not going to say they're sorry. They're going to be effing happy. And comic books are probably just going to be Archie digests in supermarkets now. Who knows? Does Barnes and Noble survive this? That's the last book retailer that's in my area. There's a Barnes and Noble in Marin County. There's a Barnes and Noble right by the airport in San Bruno. And there's one in Healdsburg, but there isn't one in San Francisco that I know of. I don't think so. No, there's no one in San Francisco. And San Francisco's got tons of little mom and pop bookshops, so that are awesome, that are great. You are great for the Nerdrotic the Tall Fund. Oh, thanks, Jeff Green. I'll pass that on to Nerdrotic the Tall. He is doing great. He was doing good. Hatch 450 SX for $2. Has CG party boat floating pretty. The CG party boat. Yeah, they listen. Everybody saw this coming. I saw this coming in 2013. Not like this, not like the political stuff. I saw the degrading of the comic book industry. So I would say, if you would ask me in 2013, I would say this industry's got, it's got 10 years left just based on the system we had. Forget the politics. They weren't even there at the time. I'm like, this thing is dead in 10 years because it's just degrading. I mean, go and look at Amazing Spider-Man sales now, and then go look at them in the 90s. They're pretty much the same. You're not, okay, and Spider-Man is a benchmark book. It's a top tier book. And it sells pretty much the same as it did in 1996. It's not growth. Like I said, it's socialism. And it wasn't meant to last this long. And they stuck a dagger in it by alienating half their fan base and then being a bunch of dicks online. And now they're like, oh, we're sorry. Yeah, you're sorry. You're sorry you don't have a platform. My whole plan was to start a shop, get this platform, have it be part of the shop, and not sell new comics. I'm done selling new comics. If maybe Alterna, maybe some IndieGoGo books, but no new Marvel. No Dan Slott, no Gail Simone, no Mark Waid will ever be sold in a shop I own if I own one. They're done. None of their back issues. Nope, you will not be able to buy Kingdom Come in my store. Sorry, Mark Waid's a dick, and I'm not going to support that guy even after the fact. I don't want people to hear of his name because he is complicit in this. He is complicit in this. And maybe he's off somewhere punching a wall, or yelling at somebody. Scottish Nerd for £1.49. Cheers. Thank you for the unicorn. Thank you for the phallic symbol. Alverian and Makara for $2. Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is delayed. No release date yet. It's going to come out. You can do post from home. It will come out, but you know what? Again, a lot of innocent people are going to lose their jobs. And the reason being is because of this and because these industries weren't super healthy, or Star Trek Picard wasn't super healthy because Patrick Stewart decided to give an interview in Variety and alienate half his fan base. Just kind of like all the comic creators. And when you lose half your fan base, your show isn't as popular, which affects the key grip, who may or may not agree with you. Maybe he does agree with you, but you still cost him his or her job. These are things I hope the stupid celebs are now going to think about. Idris Elba, every time I see you in a movie now, I'm going to think you thought you're Agent Smith from frickin' The Matrix and we're a virus with shoes. That's what I'm going to remember you for now. Bruh, dumbass. As I said in my description, this is a time where celebrities, I know all of you are watching me right now, a time to reflect, a time to turn the phone off. You get a lot of attention. Don't sing dumb, songs about getting ready. Imagine a world with no possessions in your $1 million mansion without your makeup on, trying to look real. Turn your phone off. Your representation isn't there to protect you. It's probably not a good idea for you to talk publicly without a script or somebody behind you telling you what to say, because you're a meat puppet. You're meat puppets. And you're very good meat puppets when you have a good writer writing your words for you. But when you have to do your own words, you guys aren't very good. You're professional pretenders. And just stay in your very nice home and, I don't know, watch some YouTube. Why don't you learn from the fans a little bit? Sci-Fi Nation for $2. Hail, Nerdrotic. Any positive news? We're here together, Sci-Fi Nation. The positive news, I'll give you positive news. We're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. Like I said before, this isn't a meteor coming down. This isn't a super volcano. This isn't nuclear fallout. This is serious. It's serious, but it's not like serious. The word apocalypse is being thrown. No, it's not. It's not. Song Goku for $5. But the good news is we're together, Sci-Fi Nation. The good news is you're healthy. I'm healthy. And we hope everybody in the chat's healthy. And I hope you're all doing okay. The good news is there will be comics of some form or another. This is a paradigm shift in the industry. But the Brian Michael Bendises of the world probably won't be making millions of dollars anymore. I can't imagine anybody would want to read a novel by that guy. Unless you want, it'd probably be better than Ambien. But, I can't imagine. And, I used to like Bendis. I was a backer of Bendis for a long, long time. But Disney and Marvel signed off on this shit by not disciplining these people. Because they know when they pop off, they cost people customers. And this affects the comic shops. And according to Ron Mars and the Gail Simones, they're not responsible for the comic shops. You're wrong. You're wrong. Assholes, you're wrong. And you know what? Especially if you've been a lifelong comic book writer, I don't really care what you think. I mean, unless you're, I don't know, unless you're top tier like Alan Moore, you know, where I feel like as crazy as he has some world experience. I'm guessing Ron Mars's experience is largely sitting behind a table in big convention centers and being shut up in a room writing a comic book. I'm guessing that's his world experience, because saying what he said, and I put it in my video, is ridiculously stupid. Ridiculously stupid. Sci-Fi Nation, thank you for the $2 and the shout out again. And we have 864 likes. Thank you, my friend. Thank you again. Damn, that jumped on me. We got to, and it's stuff like this. Okay. Like, this only gets made this is the product of an affluent society. Arguing about how many genders we have is a product of an affluent society. Gratitude is something, you know what the good news is, Sci-Fi Nation? I think people will rediscover gratitude. It's something that's a foundation of my recovery. And yes, I do point out a lot of what's wrong in pop culture because of that lack of gratitude. When you're arguing about genders and putting body positive on a cover of a comic book produced by Marvel Comics, this is, you don't know, the Sana Amanats of the world and the Kibblesmiths don't realize how good they have it, how great this country is when you can do shit like this, and there'll be morons that buy it. There'll be morons that believe this stuff. This stuff doesn't matter anymore. This is an argument that became old and tired a long time ago, but it officially ended on the 16th of March. And the conversation will hopefully be about togetherness and rebuilding an industry, and hopefully it won't last too long and everything will be fine eventually. And you will be fine right now. If you got a roof over your head, and you've got food in your belly, and I hope you do, and not everybody does. Not everybody does. I do realize that. But shit like this killed the comic book industry. And like, could you see Jim Shooter approving that right there? See Jim Shooter approving that? I don't think he would. I don't think he would. Dan Didio being gone. What a blessing it was for that guy. Has anybody heard from Jim Lee yet? Have we heard from Jim Lee? Is he okay? Everyone should report this to YouTube as promotes terror. Oh God, that's a little much. Stop writing those comments. I'm tired of liking them all. They've been deleting the hell out of them. Oh my God. The only thing good about this video is the like-dislike ratio. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I'm checking in on my old shop. I'm worried about my old shop because I wanted my shop to be there. When my shop was crashing and burning around me due to everything was my fault. I won't blame Marvel or Diamond. I'll give you stories. I'll give you a story about Diamond in a second, though. I got a Diamond story. It's a personal story. And just to tell you what kind of organization they are. Now, there were good people who worked there. There was John, my rep. I loved him. Great guy. There's Maria Galea, who is the credit lady. You got to get in really good with her. She tried to help people as much as she could. Imagine like this lady's job. She gets yelled at by comic shops every day. She stuck her neck out for me. She did a lot of good things, but Diamond as an organization, shady AF. Shady as fuck. And we'll talk about that in a second. 52 movies a year, $4.99. Movie studios want to own or control everything. Creativity cannot be monopolized, but resources can. No need to boycott, just spend selectively. And that's what we've been saying. Vote with your dollar. Do not support things habitually. That has now ended in the comic book industry. And let's be honest, a lot of the writers and artists in the comic shop or comic industry, comic club, we'll call it, don't understand it at all. They don't understand comic book retailing at all. Like, at all. They just think I'm awesome. My book should sell because I'm awesome. Because I have these 5 people who follow me around each comic convention telling me how awesome I am. So I'm awesome, right? You know? And it makes this weird cult of personality of Z-list celeb. Remember, this is the industry that hired ZQ. I won't say her name, but, you know, ZQ. And they did it as a middle finger. It's not because she's talented. They don't care about talent, schmalent. And then they write a book, Snowflake and Safe Base, again, for a 2-year-old argument. Honestly, like, people had moved on. There were people arguing that Marvel had turned things around. I wouldn't know because I had enough. Lifelong comic book reader, lifelong since I was 5, had given up reading Marvel comics. Done. I couldn't take it anymore. And I was thinking about coming back, and then I heard Wolverine is by. And I'm like, nope, I'm glad I didn't go back. So, yeah, they should end the Marvel continuity and reset it. I imagine AT&T might get rid of DC. They were thinking about it before all this was going on. Or it just drastically changes. To what? I honestly don't know. There's a lot of schools of thought. I'll have to give it some more thought, but I think weekly comics might be done. It's very expensive to produce. It floods shelves with a bunch of unnecessary garbage, and I think it needs to be pared down if it's going to survive. Comic books will have to be returnable. I saw one comic shop owner on Facebook talk about net 30, 40, 50, 60. Listen, unsolicited advice, don't net anything. If you need the credit for a little while, fine. But if you have to rely on credit, and I understand the philosophy of net 30. Sometimes it takes you 30 days to get a return on your books and stuff like that. And maybe you should do that to begin with. And that's what I did. But I eventually did away with it. And started ordering stuff on the cart because I don't want to have credit. Because getting into debt with Diamond gets to be a dicey issue. Trust me. A very, very dicey issue. They become very problematic, to use one of your words. But to kickstart the industry, certainly, like not even a C10, a C30, C60, like he said, full returnability forever on everything. Publishers, full returnability on everything forever. We'll come back to something else later. The direct market does not help grow comics. So if you go back to it, you're just going back to dying. So you need to make comics available in 7-Elevens, Walmarts, and none of this cock-blocking stuff by comic shops. Comic shops. Walmarts and 7-Elevens are comic book fan makers, not takers. They're makers. I'm a fan because I picked up Marvel Team Up number 42 for still only 25 cents off of a 7-Eleven spinner rack in San Marcos, California in 1975. That book taught me how to read. I remember it as much as my first lay. So that's how important it was to me. And that's what helps comics. So they need to be in grocery stores, Walmarts, Targets, everywhere. They need to be on pulp and they need to be cheap. Alterna is so far ahead of the game. And we're going to get Peter Samedi on this week sometime. I'm sorry, I probably should have pulled him on this one. But maybe tomorrow on the Nooner, we'll bring in Peter Samedi, who was breaking ground. He was breaking ground by listening to readers, listening to shops. And honestly, Peter Samedi, if you wanted to really show that you cared about comic shops, Marvel, hire Peter Samedi as your editor-in-chief and give him some real power. Or DC, F Jim Lee, Peter Samedi. Oh, but that would upset some blue checkmark hack writers. Tell me, who's worth a shit at DC and Marvel right now? Who? Donnie Cates? Okay. He's about as good as, he's no Roger Stern, you know? He's maybe Sean Gordon Murphy? Sean Gordon Murphy got his own Murphyverse, yet Tess Fowler can have power over this guy? What the? Yeah, screw that shit. Creatives, if you don't believe in screwing over fans and comic book shops, you need to start flipping off your peers, telling your peers to go suck it. Okay, they don't have power over you. Sean Gordon Murphy, you have the biggest balls there. Well, you should. You didn't act like it, buddy, but you should. And get rid of the Tom Kings. These people are bad for comic books. We need to reset everything, including the people working there. I'd say fire everybody. That would be me. If you've been languishing this bad, start over. Raging Festus for $2. Buying from Lee's eBay page. That's cool. Nostalgic glory. Raging Festus, thank you. Lee will thank. I'm sure Lee will thank you too. I actually haven't talked to Lee in years. So I hope that helped a little bit. The Kelvington, and that's good for you. Thanks. The Kelvington for $5. I miss the smell of new comics on a Wednesday morning. I do too. And I miss the smell of old comics on pulp. I don't normally tip this much, but Cinnabon Bunny is streaming. Sorry, Gary. It's okay. I don't even know who that is. Is that like a thought? I don't know. Thank you, Sci-Fi Nation. I appreciate it. And the Kelvington, I miss New Comic Book Day too. I don't miss Tuesday night because we used to call it Twensday because I wouldn't sleep. I'd get to the shop, get the shipment, put out the books. And as my shop got more popular, it took till 2 or 3 in the morning to the point where I had a cot in the shop and I'd take a little nap, wake up and do New Comic Book Day. And just to let you all know, because I know you're thinking it right now, I'm a very flawed human being. I'm a very, very flawed human being. The only superpower I have is I don't have BO. I was born without BO. Don't know why. Got lucky, I guess. But don't have the BO. So that's a good thing. So I didn't have to, otherwise, I still shower very regularly, every day, but yeah, don't have it. So, Clear Smash Drop for $20. Hi, Gary. Hello from San Jose. What's up? Normally I can't watch live because I'm at work, but we are all working from home now. So here is my first super chat ever. Stay safe, bro. Wow. Clear Smash Drop. Thank you. Thank you for the $20 and greetings. Yeah, we're all here together. Sadly, the great comic book artist Alberto Alduroz passed. Sorry, Mark C. Passed away. Please check out his life's work at Asterix and Obelix. And let me pull that up, Mark C. Let me pull that up. And thanks for reminding us. That's the great Mark C. There we go. I'm going to just show you a picture. And Mark C's knowledge is brilliant. And remember, I've always said this, for everybody who thinks, everybody loves I never claim to be an expert on anything. I know very little. I think I've seen this once, maybe. And Mark C, just like this, he's like an encyclopedia, and he knows this stuff. So there's a little bit of that. There you go. So he lived a good long life. May he rest in peace. I don't know if it was because of the thing or if it was just old age, but yeah. And I can't say the thing. There's a lot of things I can't say, and I apologize. So I'll be dancing around words. So, for instance, it's almost like I need to have something in the description translating what I'm saying, because we're gonna develop YouTube speak at some point, kind of like City Speak from Blade Runner. But if you say Yahtzee, you know what I mean. Bad people from Germany. That's it. Thank you, Mark C. Catalan Pop for $25. Cheers. I know your pronouns, Rons. Cheers. I know how you pronounce. Oh, I know how you pronounce Ron's. Oh, I like how you pronounce Ron. Sorry. Man, I cannot see. Sorry about that, man. Hatchet 450 SX, $2. Never buying Marvel or DC again. Won't forgive. No, don't. Don't. What? You might not have to at this point. It's over. It's over. Diamond stopped for the foreseeable future. There are shops that I don't know the number right now, but there are at least, we'll say the day they announced their closure, there are 10 shop owners who said we're done. Now, whether they said it publicly or not, I don't know. But I know off the top of my head of about 5 or 6 shops in California who can't go 3 weeks without a shipment. And that's not a judgment on them at all. You know what? There's some shops that are they're owned by partners and it's a hobby, like they have other jobs. There's actually quite a few shops like that. It's those shops those hobby shops that are going to go away first. They're going to go, okay, like this isn't worth it, you know. There's other shops that were, you know, they were bought on Daddy's trust fund, and they'll be around. They'll be around. You can tell who those are. And there are people who've been around forever who will survive this, like Comics Experience. But Comics Experience, it's a good comic shop, but it's a bookstore. It's not really a comic store. It's a bookstore. He has a few back issues here and there, but it's mainly graphic novels, trades. There's not a lot of toys in there. You know, I like comic shops. I like back issues and the smell of old comic books. I like toys, vintage toys. I like talking to customers for hours. But no, Hatch, don't forgive. Look at how they were treating fans up until 3 weeks ago. That Dan Slott article, let's go check the date on that. Let's go check the date on that Dan Slott article, shall we? Dan effing Slott telling everybody to F off was 2 weeks ago. There we go. What's the date on that? March 8th, 2020. Marvel Comics Fantastic Four writer tells Dan Slott to F you if you vote for Orange Man.
I have no choice but to tell you, you're fired.
That's my $40 Donald Trump action figure. It's Trigger Trump. I call him Trigger Trump because I know it triggers some people. Yeah. I got Jeremy one too at Comic-Con last year. And F you, Dan Slott. So how many, can we put a number? Can we put a financial number or a head count of how many people he alienated with just that statement? And I'm going to guess a few thousand who will not buy his comic books forever. Now, when you say stuff like that, people will hold a grudge for life about that because they take it personally because you were very specific. So maybe somebody voted for the Orange Man because they just felt like it was the right thing to do at the time, but they still hold him accountable. They aren't like, like everything he says is perfect and whatever. After spending years of demonizing people, demonizing large sections of our country, technically half of it, and then going, oh, we need help now. We need help. Or we weren't responsible to comic shops. And you know what? Comic shops, some were innocent parties. There's a lot of innocent parties. There's people who work at Marvel who are innocent parties in this. But there is a point, though, you have to hold your peers accountable. The comic shops should have banded together when they saw this, because believe me, they saw this stuff coming before any of us did. They're the ones with the data right in front of them. And the thing is, a lot of time comic shop owners live in fear. I mean, it's a teetering industry. And now you see why. And when some people, listen, I could be a loudmouth. So what? I don't give a shit. I'm not apologetic about it. But I tried to say stuff. But I was considered too new and too bombastic, and we should take a measured approach to this. And it's a dinosaur industry that moved like molasses in the freaking ice age. And now we're paying for it. Diamond never needed to change. It never had to change because it didn't have competition. Because it took out that competition? No. Nobody wanted to compete with Diamond. It was right. Oh my God. Somebody should have competed against Diamond. And that would have made the industry that much better. But there wasn't any interest. So they were the unintentional monopoly. And I figured that out immediately. You know, I used to work in auto parts. We used to have multiple distributors fighting each other tooth and nail to sell us parts. And then I get into the comic book industry and there's Diamond working their 1994 DOS program. And yes, it was effing DOS for a few years until they finally changed it. And for ordering. I'm like, what the hell? You know, they're like, don't do the Windows update. We're still on 98. And this was in like freaking 2003 or something. You know, it was like ridiculous. So it was bad. It was bad. Diamond is aloof because they're the unintentional monopoly. Why would they spend any money on innovation? You know what? They still don't believe that the West Coast exists. So now you're going to get me on a fucking rant. This is a rant. Diamond's on the East Coast. Everything was based on East Coast time. And the fucking East Coast listen, they think they're the first coast. And yeah, there's more people, but there's still California. Largest, most populous state in the country, 30 some odd million, most of them crazy people, but we exist. And we can't live on your freaking hours over there on the East Coast. So there should have been a Diamond satellite warehouse. And there was like a little one in Tustin, but there was no reps. There was no people working there. So they would go home at 3 or 5 sometimes, or the order cutoff was at 3. Everything was on East Coast time. Now they would have people stay home, stay later. You could talk to, but they couldn't do anything. And by the time, there was one time where cutoff was 1 p.m. for some reason. My shop opened at 12. Yes, I got to work at the crack of noon. It's a comic shop. What do you want? And my shop opened at 12. So 1 hour into my working day, they're shutting down shit. And the East Coast would get preference. So anytime they did a retailer summit, it's in Baltimore, Maryland. It's like, I'm sorry, people. Baltimore, Maryland? I don't want to go to Baltimore, Maryland. I want to go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is where you should have a retail summit. And they did one there, and man, everybody fucking showed up. It was amazing. And it was a good, was that the last time I saw Rory Root? Or was that a Comics Pro meeting? I think that was Comics Pro meeting last time I saw Rory Root. Passed away, great comic shop owner. He, Comic Relief in Berkeley. So they just didn't, the West Coast did not fucking exist to them. Does any normal distributor act like that? No. We had one guy, Dave Hawksworth, who would come around and he would be the outside rep, but he just sold us shit. He would come in, ask how we're doing, and then try to sell us shit. But Dave Hawksworth was like the nicest guy in the world. He passed away a few years ago. I miss him to death. He was like the heart and soul of Diamond. And when he went, I bet you it just went completely fucking downhill after that. Diamond is a organization that tried to do something, did do something illegal to me. So when my comic shop was crashing and burning around me, because I decided in my late 40s or my mid 40s, early 40s, to take up a cocaine habit, not advisable. Not advisable. The booger sugar is no good for you. It's a hell of a drug. So the comic shop's crashing and burning. I need to file for bankruptcy, and I'm able to do it where it's personal because my wife and we were lucky. We bought our house before we were married. So we were dual tenants in common. So when I filed for bankruptcy, we were able to do a whoop-de-whoop, and it didn't affect her at all. And I did a Chapter 13, so I'm paying some of it back. But when you're protected under bankruptcy, nobody's supposed to collect the debt from you. Especially after they've made an agreement that we're going to pay some of this back. I owed Diamond like $3,000-$4,000. They really wanted that $3,000-$4,000 back. They really, really, really wanted it back. And they never, ever forgot it. So they weren't supposed to collect the debt. And listen, I'm not proud of it. Bankruptcy sucks and I'll never go through it again. But I had to do it. Fuck it. But I hated it. It hurt my pride. And it took me years to get up from that. I paid everybody back that I could. And did it as best I could. But to this day, I have 2 credit cards. They have $1,000 limit each. That's it. If I don't have cash, I don't buy it. That's it. Learn my lesson. And a lot of it, you know what? I mean, there was my responsibility and a lot of it were circumstances that happened. Doesn't matter. Still my responsibility. Diamond kept trying to collect the debt. They kept calling and trying to collect the debt, kept calling. So on my last day of when I'm getting rid of my business, I found out that the person who bought my shop restarted a Diamond account because I canceled my Diamond account. Because I'm going to, I'm going to sell the shop or go out of business or take all my stuff home, whatever. So I don't need Diamond books anymore. The person who was going to buy my business restarted the Diamond account under my name, which could have completely effed my bankruptcy, like completely without me knowing it, by the way. And then Diamond shipped me half my product so they shipped half my product and charged me full price, never refunded me. And guess what? The amount equaled exactly what I owed them for the bankruptcy. So they ended up getting their money anyway. They did. They sent me on my last 2 orders, which I didn't ask for, that are supposed to go to Brian. They sent me half my books, but they charged me the full price that just so happened to equal the amount I owed them prior to the bankruptcy. That's Diamond. And listen, hey, they got paid back. Right on. Great. They got me. But this is Diamond. This is a huge organization, and they remembered that. So, yeah, I can see them being in financial trouble too. But yeah. Cocaine. Woo! Yeah, God's way of telling you you've got a little extra money or you're just an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Because I never did it when I was because I had done drugs before and gotten clean, and I never really did coke. I didn't like it very much. I liked crank, but then I picked up coke, and it's all bad for you kids. And my heart goes out to all the drug addicts who are suffering now because everybody's supply's off. And I had somebody pop into my chat yesterday because we were talking about that Imagine video, and they go, "Doesn't it look like everybody got cut off of their opiate supply?" And it does. They all look like a little sick. They're like, Games Workshop. Games Workshop is next if C-Chan gets worse. They give into SJWs and wokeness and don't do anything to improve Sigmar 40K and keep increasing prices. Japla 821. Are you talking about Warhammer? Warhammer will survive because you guys are the most hardcore fans of any fandom ever. More than DC. DC fans are hardcore. Way more hardcore than Marvel fans, man. Now they're a little myopic. They're like Raider fans. I equate them to Raider fans. Like everything DC is great. And don't you say it, but they'll complain about DC. But if anybody else complains, it's like a family member. It's like, I'll argue with my sister, but if you say a word about my sister, I'll kick your ass. That's a DC fan. Warhammer 40K fans are the most hardcore crazy fans I've ever seen. It'll never die because you guys will keep it alive. Just keep the SJWs out. I don't know much about it. Now, somebody gives me a super chat in a language I don't understand. So it says 250 yen, and it says something with an exclamation point. So it either says you're a giant dick or you're awesome. So I'm going to choose to say it says you're awesome. Here, I'll show it to you. Maybe you guys can translate. Can I translate that? Maybe I can translate it. Hang on. Can you right click and oh, I don't want to. Yeah, you can Google it. Hang on. I'm going to translate this. What the hell? Give me just a second, folks. Says Donald Trump, don't trust China. China asshole. No, sorry, it doesn't say that. It says good night. It says good night. Well, good night. Good night to you. 250 yen. Good night to you. Thank you very much. Icane 1906. Sorry, that soundbite from Crowder's show is circling in my head. Icane 1906. Welcome to the protomolecule level. I welcome you. I welcome you. Alex Wyman for 4. By the way, before I start that, I know you're out there. My friends who work at Pete's, because like most Pete's are open. Pete's Coffee is my favorite coffee. Most of them are open except for the one I go to all the time at Stonestown. And there's a great group of kids who work there. I know a couple of you might be watching. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Alex Wyman for $4.99. Gary, you're keeping me sane watching your videos. Thank you. How many Star Trek action figures do you have? Well, actually, Mrs. Nerdrotic has more than I do. Mine are the Migos. I have about 40 different variations of those. She has all the Next Generation figures. She has a couple hundred. I would say altogether we have about 300. Crowfu for $5. Do you miss it when movies... Don't you miss it when movies didn't care about being PC, like Blazing Saddles, Tropic Thunder, Porky's, etc.? Yes. And we'll know this is over when a movie comes out that makes fun of all the SJWs. You remember PC, the movie, or PC? What was it? I can't remember. The guy from Entourage was in it. PC I can't remember what the title was, but it came out in the late 90s. We need something Blazing Saddles level that makes fun of this SJW nonsense. There needs to be skits. People would eat it up. If Saturday Night Live was anywhere near what it used to be in the late 70s, it'd be making fun of this shit. It's not. It should be canceled. Grant Kelbrick for 140 Zardoz. Now that is a South African monetization. Well, I don't know what they call it, if they call them dollars or pesos, but it says ZAR. So I don't know what that is, so I call it a Zardoz. Used to visit my comic shops back in the 90s and sit there for hours with a Diamond Previews catalog. Leaving the store, you start stressing about how you're going to pay for all the stuff when it arrives. The good old days. Yes. My God, yes. Positive news. The internet is still working, says Scottish Nerd for $2. You are absolutely correct. I thank you. I thank you. Justin Gould for $10. How do you feel about Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano in Mandalorian Season 2? I think it's great. Great casting. Wonderful casting. Robert Rodriguez is going to be directing a couple episodes too. Now, is it going to look like Sin City or I don't know. I don't know. There's a video I'm going to show you guys later of stand-up comedy in my comic shop. Why? What does this got to do with Rosario Dawson? Because I love Rosario Dawson, and I had a big picture of her as Gail under my steps. You'll see, and I'll pull that up. I used to do stand-up comedy in my shop. It was called Comics versus Comics, and there's a comedian named Bert DeVitri. He's still out there. He does commercial work. Who helped me do that, and it was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We squeezed about 40 people in my shop. We gave away beer and had some stand-up comedy. It was a lot of fun. Justin Gould, how do you feel? I got to finish this. Happy at first until I realized Mando will be fleshing out the Disney trilogy. You can't flesh out a universe that is intrinsically flawed. It is an abomination. No, I don't. Yeah, Mandalorian takes place in a universe I don't care about. I don't care about Disney Star Wars anymore. I don't get mad. I don't get it's nothing. It's flatline. I hear about Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. Right, great. Am I going to cover it? Maybe as an obligation for the channel. But honestly, I don't care. It was good show. It was a good show. It's nowhere near enough to make up for killing Luke Skywalker. F them for that. Kent Barnes for $2. Voting with my dollars. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Kent Barnes. That's the best way we can do it, especially now. Like I said before, everything's changed. We all know that. And as far as Star Trek Picard Season 2 and Doctor Who Season 13 and 14 and any Marvel Comics beyond June, not happening. Not happening. They aren't printing anything. Diamond isn't accepting any books for the foreseeable future. Now, and also we need to talk about how hard it is to ramp this back up again. All right. So you can't just ramp this back up. When accounts go on hold my account went on hold at Diamond. All right. And then when it went back off hold, the shipping was completely screwed up. I was getting damaged books, missing things, and it took 4 or 5 weeks to get things going. So to ramp this all up again, it will take a couple of months. And that's if we don't lose any stores. So we'll have the however long it takes of no production. And then it'll be the 2 months it will take to get everything going where people are getting the wrong books, damaged books, no books at all. Some publishers are going to fold out of this. It's changed forever. There will be no direct market anymore. It ended officially yesterday. The comic book direct market, as we know it, ended officially yesterday. Everything else is just moving your chairs around the deck of the Titanic. Like I said in my video, I did a live stream. I want to say once I heard San Francisco was closing, and this is prior to Gavin Newsom and our mayor coming out, once Melissa told me that she heard from a friend that she was going to shut her salon down, I did a live stream that day. It's on Nerdrotic Live. It was over a week ago saying comic shops better do something like right now. And then Clownfish TV came out with a video same day. Because we were in this industry. It's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh shit, comic stores are fucked. They're absolutely fucked. And guess what? They're fucked. Diamond knew before I did. Marvel knew before I did. DC knew. Was DC out there? Jim Lee? DC knew before I did. And they should have at least talked to the comic shops going, this is coming down. We're working on it. Just hang on. That would have been nice. They didn't even do that. Brian Hibbs had to plead for it. 72 hours. He didn't hear from anybody after sending his email. 3 days. That's bullshit. And then Diamond responds a week later with shutting everything down, which is what they were going to do in the first place. So maybe you warn the shops we're shutting everything down so they have a little time to sell a little extra product. No, but they wanted to wait. They wanted to wait because they wanted to cover their ass first. Okay, fine. But we at least know the score. Thank you for letting us know the score. And now we know. And I'm not surprised at all. The unintentional monopoly doesn't give a fuck. And, Jeppy Enterprises, I'm sure it's a very legitimate organization. Luca Brasi is not swimming with the fishes. And they'll be fine. Or they'll go into other venues. Or they'll fold. Or they'll just end. I don't know. We'll see. I do know that there, again, a lot of innocent people in this, but do not forgive the Gail Simones, the Mark Wades, and the Dan Slotts. Those are 3 names I can think of the top of my head right now who have been provocateurs, antagonistic towards fans, horribly antagonistic towards fans. And like I said in previous live streams, they're on you. Some of them are on YouTube now. Give them that warm YouTube welcome. Rolf Mutzenberg, Maltzeberg for $10. Let me know how you pronounce that name. I see the umlaut, which is cool. I just got here. I follow Nerd News for the culture commentary. I've not been following this. What's going on? Can you tell me? I just walked on in terms of normies like myself. Okay, I'll try to briefly recap this. A lot of the cities here in America had to shut down non-essential businesses, which includes comic shops. Comic shops were in deep trouble anyway. We used to have over 3,000 comic shops in this country. We have 2,000 now, probably a little under 2,000, where I would say about half of them live diamond bill to diamond bill, which is their distributor. They live paycheck to paycheck. The industry was in trouble because the comic books were bad, because Marvel and DC comic books were bad. Mostly Marvel. DC's played their part, and honestly, DC started it with New 52. They were producing partisan, divisive comic books that were heavily political. They were destroying and dismantling and deconstructing our favorite heroes. I'm sure you're familiar what happened to Luke Skywalker. Well, they did that to Captain America 2 years before. Everything that happened in comics was the proving ground, is now happening in Hollywood. So Captain America was essentially made a Nazi. Nazi, I just said it. And, just like they deconstructed Luke Skywalker, they did that with Spider-Man, with Tony Stark. And these are the characters that they're making billions of dollars off of in the movie. And instead of mirroring that in the comic books, they kill them off or replace them with a 15-year-old black girl. Sound familiar, Doctor Who fans? Yeah, again, comic books did it first. And now they're failing first. And by the way, this shit will happen to Hollywood. It was unthinkable a week ago. Now it's very thinkable, isn't it? Now they have a much stronger foundation than comic books do, but depends on how long things go. So the comic book industry was vulnerable anyway. It was an industry that probably shouldn't exist. It survived some major crashes, its own bubble bursting, and then the 2008 recession. But this was inevitable. Just like Thanos, it was inevitable, and it was done with a snap. And that snap was all the comic shops being closed down. Long story short, comic shops can't afford to close down for any amount of time longer than 3 weeks. Over 3 weeks, we start losing comic shops. We've only lost one that I know of. We're going to lose... I know there's a few thinking about it. I know the 2 people I talked to said they were planning for their other careers. So that sounds like going out of business to me. It's a pop culture apocalypse, but it is just for comic books right now. And they're an indicator of an ecosystem. The lower life forms start dying out when an ecosystem is in trouble. And that's what the comic shops are. San Francisco for Canadian $10, Canadian pesos. Someone with the last name of Schumacher might have had an ancestor who was a shoemaker. Did Kibblesmith come from the inclusive pedigree of dog food makers? He's more of a poopsmith. Daniel Poopsmith. He is Santa's author of Santa's Husband. Santa's Husband. Swift Justice 2020 for $1.99 asks a good question because I should have given reference to this. You said Idris Elba is in the bad celebrity column. How come? Well, Idris Elba went out publicly and said that the thing that shall not be named is basically the earth taking care of itself. It's nature taking care of itself. You remember in The Matrix when Agent Smith says you're a virus with shoes? Well, Idris Elba went Agent Smith on us. Idris Elba, I'm going to ask you something, buddy. Because he got basically environmental. How many resources does it take to make a major motion picture? How many trucks are used? How much electricity is used? How many cars are driven or how many cars are driving around staff? Actors. Again, how many planes are used? How many trucks are used? How many resources are used? How much wood is used to build a set? How much material is used to build a set? How many millions of dollars are spent to make pretend? Pretend. And more often than not, when you're in it, buddy, it doesn't do very well. So it's wasted millions of dollars that could have bought how many ventilators? I mean, after this live stream, I could spend about an hour figuring out your latest box office flop. I know you were in a hit recently, but your latest box office flop, and equate that to how many ventilators that movie could have purchased. Would you like me to do that, Idris Elba? Mr. Virus Idris Elba? Most of the waste is in Hollywood right now. Most of the waste is in comic shops. Or comic books. Comic shops are wasted. I remember one time I was downtown San Francisco and I was getting into my element, my Honda Element at the time. And somebody asked me if I had a moment for the environment. And I said, I would, but I unfortunately have to get into my gas guzzling SUV to go sell paper products at my comic shop. Thank you. Yes, stuff is not important. Okay. We like entertainment. It's great. Like I said before, you're a good meat puppet. You're a good professional pretender. But maybe you should just not talk publicly without your representation around. And I know he says he tested for the thing that shall not be named. I'm aware of that. And I hope he gets better. Doesn't make him any less of a dummy. Back to you, chat. Yeah, so Idris Elba can go suck it. And like Jeremy said, he went full Jennifer Lawrence on us. And these people, this is why there are no big movie stars anymore. This has a degrading, it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. People just get annoyed by this stuff. And people have a breaking point and they eventually just go, enough of these people. They're crazy. Maybe they can sing us another John Lennon song though. That'll make it okay. Corey S for $5. Rad shirt. Too bad. It's too bad how the Defenders turned out on Netflix. I know, right? So these are the shirts I used to wear to my shop. These were my work shirts. And I have a Captain America one and a Wolverine one and a Superman one. And of course my Punisher one. Yeah, I love these shirts. They don't make them anymore. They were made by a Red Cap. Oberon for 20 Danish krona. Stay safe, dude. Love to you and your amazing family. Well, thank you, Oberon. Right back at you. Right back at you. And Rolf, once again for $2. I heard BO is dietary. Not necessarily, no. It probably adds to it, but no. Some people just have it, okay? And it's not their fault. A week away from my launch for the Oberon station. I can't wait. You need to send me the channel so I can put it out there, so I can shout it out. Thank you, Oberon, for $20. Sam Francis for $2 Canadian. Flubbing like Rich Evans. We need speaking Yahtzees. I know. Sorry. IK 1906 for $5. Will indie online comics and manga pick up now that the mainstream is dying off? Real interest to know your thoughts. Manga will survive. Yes, manga will probably take over. Absolutely. It's a healthy industry. You can produce it quicker. More kids that I know are reading it than comic books. My kid is getting into it big time. And there's that gateway for manga. You know, it's the anime, it's the Dragon Ball and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I got my Berserk right down there. Yes, I think it already has a distributor. It has a healthy distributor that can take 3 months off. You know, whoever distributes it over in Japan and somebody will have to pick it up here. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know a ton about it, but I think it is the future as far as serialized storytelling. I think it could, at this point, replace the American comic. And I think there's a lot more interest in it. It makes a ton of money. Remember, the comic book industry in total, in the whole world, barely made $1 billion. And like 7 or 8 years ago, it only made $660 million. So I don't know where that other $400 million came out of nowhere. I'm guessing that's Scholastic. So Scholastic is half the business. Again, that's a government bailout. Scholastic, if you're not aware of it, it's a publisher here in the States who I think is owned by Viacom that they want to get rid of, but they sell to schools. They sell books to schools. So it's a captive audience paid for by parent and government money. And comics found an inroads there through librarians. And it's, again, propped up an industry that probably should be dead. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, says Rolf for $2. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. There, I said it. Hobbit Warrior for $50. All right. Been watching you a while. Just wanted to thank you for all the cathartic vids and live streams. Keeps me sane. You guys keep me sane. Believe me. You guys keep me sane. Adam Wolford for $10. The comic companies are now saying, save us. And we will say loud, no. You reap what you sow. What you have soil. Enjoy sinking into your trash ocean. Buy, another will raise in your place. Says Adam Wolford for $10. Yes, the aforementioned manga. And I think independent comics. Alterna's out there. Alterna's trying. He's been trying since February. Poor Peter Samedi. We want to talk about somebody who's fracking vindicated right now. But no, let's swat Peter Samedi. Fucking jackasses. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people eating crow right now, and they don't even know it. They keep popping off. But let's go back to Brian Michael Bendis. Let's go back to Brian Michael Bendis, who says everything's going to be okay. Super. Thanks for asking. And reminding me about like the one scene that pisses me off about Smallville. Asshole Tom Welling. You couldn't do one shot in the suit. You jerk. Certainly more important things going on. But for those who deeply care, comics are not canceled. No, comic shops are, buddy. They're being made safe. They're being made safe. Safe. Yeah, they're home safe with no income now. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to you completely fucking up Superman. How dare you put Superman on your tweet? Oh my God, these guys. Sheer fucking hubris. Where's Admiral Sheer fucking hubris when you need it? Listen to this fucking asshole. I'm a little older than some of you might remember. And I remember situations like this, and we got right back to it. Yeah. I'll ask again, because I asked earlier, Brian, what situation do we have like this? Please tell me, because I don't remember, and I'm as old as you are. So unless we lived on different planets, I'm really not aware of a situation like this that forced comic shops to close for a month or two. Please remind me what situation was like this. Dude, stick to writing funny books, brah. Or you know what? Maybe retire. This might be a good time to retire. And then I remind you all what they're trying to do is I think they're trying to be positive, but these people are dumb and detached. And this is a very serious situation. Of course, they don't even think about the comic shops at all. I mean, they're just thinking about themselves. So Tom King's going to be fine. Tom King is going to be fine. He's probably a millionaire. And I'm reminded of comics' lowest moment in the mid-50s. After the Senate investigation, we lost so much. I'm reminded of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who came out of it and didn't give up and said, fuck it, let's try something cool. Aim for new heights. What have we got to lose? You also forgot Carmine Infantino, you fucking jackass. Because he was part of that too. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know if Stan would have come up with some of his ideas, but you know, that's a conversation for another day. Hail the late great Carmine Infantino. And I said, I am reminded of a time when Batman's balls were still attached. Thanks to Tom King. So you're minimizing this, dude. This is a serious situation, and the comic shops that sell your books are going to be gone, and then you won't have a job. And I think these creatives and repurposers don't think they need comic shops. You still do. You still need that habitual nature to keep comics in the air, in the ether, in the matrix, whatever word you want to use. Keep it out there in the public eye. And you lose that habitual nature. People start forgetting about comic books. They're less important, and they become background noise. Remember when album release day used to be a big deal? I do. Remember when Movie release day used to be a big deal. DVD release day. I remember working at the warehouse, and on Tuesday, there'd be a line out the fucking door of a bunch of moms waiting to get their VHS of, Goodwill Hunting or whatever. I mean, that's it. It's gone. Comic Book Wednesday is gone. That sucks. That sucks. And it could have been here. Like I said, wasn't a healthy industry, but the Tom Kings of the world through his narrative and the Dan Slotts, Gail Simones, and Mark Waid's made it sick. They poisoned the industry. Catalin Pop for 10 Rons. Are you a Marvel or DC guy? I was a Marvel guy. Was. I would call myself more of a DC guy now. My kid, Nerdrotic Jr., is a DC guy. A DC kid. 100%. McGill Omo for $1.99. What do you think of Kick-Ass Comics and the movie? I like the first movie, and I like the first comic quite a bit. Atomic Comics is in that movie. They actually put a comic shop in the movie. One that existed, but the one guy who spent himself out of existence. Drury Nitpicker for $1.99. Investing with my money. Hail. Thank you, Drury Nitpicker. I appreciate it. And we'll invest in each other because we're going to have each other to entertain for a little while. So thanks, everybody, for joining. Max Santiago for $2. Preach, brother. Luke is our guy. No peace for Lucasfilm. No, there would be no peace. I'll read it again. Hang on. It's right here. When they ask for peace, it's right here. We shall have peace. We shall have peace when you answer for the burning of the Westfold. When you answer for the children who lie dead on the plains. For the soldiers who were hewn even as they lay dead. We shall have peace when you hang from a gibbet for the sport of your own crows. One of my favorite fucking lines ever. All right. And Richard Johnson for $10 says, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Drury Nitpicker is back for $9.99. Have our first case here in Chico. It's so bad that they're staying home and not even, in the building where people go to get better. It's a 65 and up. Every doctor I know says this is blown out of proportion. I don't know, but I hope you're doing okay. Hail. Drury Nitpicker, my doctor says it's not. Says we need to be very, he said it's very important that we practice social distancing right now. But he also said this isn't the end of the world. And I also refer you to Louderwood Crowder. He interviewed his doctor who, I mean, it's weird because his doctor looks like my sponsor I call my doctor, he's my sponsor. He's an Asian guy. He's cool. He's a men's health physician. Said the same thing. They said the same exact thing, which is take this seriously, but this isn't the end of the world. Okay. So practice your social distancing. You're trying not to get sick. The reason you're trying not to get sick is so you don't give it to an older person. You're going to be fine. Your kid is probably going to be fine. Probably that you have a better chance largely of getting struck by lightning, I think, or winning the lottery, maybe a little around there, but you're going to be fine. We just need to be cautious. That's all. And take care of each other. Take care. You know what? And maybe get rid of, maybe some good will come out of this. Maybe we'll come together. Maybe shit out of Hollywood and entertainment will be less divisive. I mean, I could dream. I don't really think so, but we could hope, right? But hope is not a strategy. Cecil. We love Cecil. Cecil is love. What's up, Cecil, my friend? Cecil for $2. Luke and Leia cloned in episode 9, episode 10, new young actors. They're going to reboot it, Cecil. They're going to boot it, and it'll be Prince Leia and Luca or Lisa Skywalker. It'll be a blonde woman with a Hillary Clinton haircut and a lightsaber, and she will be large and in charge, and her name will be Lisa Skywalker. Bryce Brierly for $20. If you had to stay in the business and had to pivot, what would you pivot to, especially if you owned your own shop and building? If I owned my own shop and building, oh my God. For one, that's the way to do it. Own your own building. I mean, even if it's off the beaten path, if you own the building, you're in like Flynn. So what I would do is what I was going to do anyway. I was already moving towards it before, the bottom fell out, which was vintage toys, books, comics, vinyl, not buying anything from Diamond, just putting a big, I buy comics, I buy vinyl, I buy trade paperbacks, I buy toys, and the product comes in every day. If I did that right now, people would come to my house. I stopped buying trades from Diamond altogether. I didn't need to anymore. I had, because I was near college, so I had kids bringing in long boxes of trades. That's what I would do. And our people have already done that. People saw this coming. Mile High Comics already was doing it. That guy's a genius. I mean, that's, Southern California comics, that's mostly what they do anyway. They don't really rely on new releases. So Jamie Newbold will be fine. By the way, hail Jamie. I love you. Southern California Comics, best freaking comic shop on the planet. Golden Apple is a great comic shop. Ryan down there and James at Isotope up here, great comic shop. If you're ever around, when things get back to normal, which is going to be soon, folks. I don't know how soon, but soon. Go visit your local comic shop if you can. If you can't, I understand. Rolf for $20 more. Okay, this is how you pronounce it. Mutzelberg. Okay, Rolf Mutzelberg. Thank you. Isn't my real name. The real Rolf was a Yahtzee U-boat ace. Oh, great. And I've been saying that all over my super. He was a real-life supervillain. He spoke perfect English and was condescendingly smug. Ironically died in a swimming accident in the South Atlantic. Oh, I'm very sorry or not so sorry to hear that. Saucy Marie for $1.99. Thank you. Thank you very much. David Scovetta for $1.99. Would love a stream with the Red Letter Media folks. Sorry, I've got sidetracked there. I would absolutely stream with Red Letter Media, who is probably making millions of dollars because every one of my videos goes to theirs. I see Rich and Mike's face like every day now. I hope people don't start associating them with being, quarantined, because that might be bad in the long run. No, I would absolutely stream with them, David. I don't know if they probably don't know who I am, but yes, shout them out. Maybe I'll super chat. Well, did they do live streams? I would love to talk to those guys. They're brilliant. Yellow Flash 2, who is also brilliant. Please subscribe to Yellow Flash for $2. Brian Michael Bendis destroyed Superman. It was my favorite book. Yep. F that. Fuck Tom King, says Yellow Flash 2. So fuck Brian Michael Bendis. Fuck Tom King. I completely agree with you, Yellow Flash. Thank you. Mr. Anthony Hunter for Canadian, $1.49, sends a unicorn. And by the way, the reason people are sending unicorns, I think, is I told the story. If you watch Brie Larson's Unicorn Store, I want you to imagine the unicorn is a dick. Basically, it's a phallic symbol. Changes the whole movie. Chris Senard for $5. And listen, my sister told me that unicorns were a phallic symbol. And since she's a woman, she's right, because I'm supposed to believe women. I'm older than some too. Remember how quickly comics bounced back after the bubonic... I got to read this again. Chris Senard for $5. I'm older than you too. Remember how quickly comics bounced back after the bubonic plague? Yeah, me too, Chris. They just bounced right back. I'm trying to think of I can't think of a, oh, dang. The joke's gone now. I was trying to think of a Renaissance artist, and you remember like the Da Vinci variants? You know, I don't know. Shade Draws for $5. Major problem with comics is too many events, universe enders, multiverse nonsense, impenetrable for new readers and casuals to buy in. Yes. Shade Draws, they always were, it was schizophrenic. So they always were chasing new readers. They were always chasing the dragon of new readers. That's how I always caught it. And they always failed because they needed to fall back on the events. Less comics, okay? Zach was saying it in a video last night. I was saying it in my comic shop in 2003. 2 Batman books. 2 Spider-Man books. 1 Superman book. 2 X-Men books. 1 Daredevil. A Wolverine solo book, not in the X-Men. He's not in the X-Men. 1 Wolverine book. Everybody gets 1 book unless you're the X-Men and Batman and Spider-Man. That's it. 1 fucking book. And we don't need 90 teams, okay? Justice League, Avengers, Teen Titans, and then like Young Avengers or something. And that's it. Or X-Men. Reduce that count completely. Get it back to 80s numbers. How many titles you were producing in the 80s? Not the 90s, the 80s. Get it right back to that. You print that shit on pulp. For one, pulp will make comics more valuable because it doesn't last as long. People will trash it, making comics more valuable. High demand, low print run. Or, yeah, that's the way it's got to go. That's the way comics lost their value a long time ago. And digital is not the answer. Never will be the answer. Never was the answer. It's a good aside to have. If you buy a comic and you don't want to take it with you on a plane or something, it's good to have digital. But personally, I've never read a digital comic. Not a single one. Terrible. Horrible experience. Manga is next. NPCs have already infested Viz. Yeah, they have been for years. Stalin Falcon for $2. But I don't know if it's been bad. Listen, I had a friend who worked for Viz. I had an old friend, Brandon Hanvey. Good guy. Nice guy. Hatch 450 for $2. Back Raging Golden Eagle comic Blade Devil. Yes, please black that. Black it? I'm sorry. Please back it. Sorry. Please back that comic book. It's on IndieGoGo. Raging Golden Eagle Blade Devil. Blade Devil. It's got, it's the art. The art's really good. The art's really, really good. Here, I'll show it to you real quick. Boop, 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 boop. There it is right there. And the mods, Modrotics, if there's any of you out there, you could put it's okay to put put that in the chat. But this is Blade Devil. I don't know if this is the one. Oh, yeah, it's 9 days left. Woo, $105,000. That's brilliant. Sick Fox Studios. So yeah, there you go. Blade Devil. Thank you very much. Back it if you want, if you got time. They can ship it to you. Screw Idris Alba. John F. Trent, by the way. Thank you, John F. Trent, for adding my video in your article. I appreciate that. I always appreciate when you do that. John F. Trent is a good human being, and he is the good part of the media. He's not the access media. He is media, and people give him so much shit, and he doesn't care. He just, that's my man. That's my man. That's how a man handles it right there. Bless you, John F. Trent. God of Plague for $2. Thanks for all the entertainment. You are quite welcome. Thank you very much. I will plan to do more. I do. Rich Suddy for £5. Hey, Gary, meant to ask you and Doomcock the other day if you've ever watched any of the Major Grins videos. No, I haven't. I don't know. Maybe I have. Sometimes I watch videos and I don't know who I'm watching. Rich, I will get back to you on Inquisition with that. How's that sound? I'll write it down. Zachary Shaw for $4.99. Do you think hobby shops are going to hurt? Yes. They're almost in the same situation. They have a little more dedicated fan base, but I think, well, they got Warhammer. It depends on the owner, honestly. None of these shops make a lot of money for people. They do it for passion. So it depends if it's a job that somebody's doing in retirement, or it's a trust fund job, or somebody actually pays their bills. For the owners of shops and hobby shops who have to pay their mortgage with their shops, it's probably over. If this goes longer than 3 months, I'm being generous. Honestly, comic shops are already falling. Already, and we're not even 2 weeks into this. All right. Ray Young, 74. Hail, Gary. You can't trust them. First it's peace, and then it's peace off. Yeah, they've got the knife behind their back. Hell no, never trust them. No way, no how. Michael Henley for $11. We could come together in 01 between August and October for about 3 months. Well, we came together in 2001 between August and October for about 3 months. We did, Michael Henley. I'll never forget that. That was an amazing time. It sucked, but it was also amazing to see. And I can't even, if you were a kid back then, I can't even describe it to you. How nice we were to each other for a good 3 month period. There was peace. And what brought us together? A horrific act. It was very, very Watchmen. Flashy Vic for £5. Every mobile phone in the UK just got a text from the UK government telling them to stay indoors. Not Big Brother at all. I don't recall giving them my number. Yes, you are on lockdown in the UK. Welcome to it. I'm sorry. I've been on lockdown since the 16th, almost 9 days. And I've been live streaming a lot to keep myself sane. I'm worried about hobby shops. They are rarer. C-Chan is going to make it worse. GW should be a little nicer to them. GW is bad like Marvel sometimes. And you know what? We lost our only Franciscan Hobbies, which was right down the street from me. So there is none that I know of in San Francisco. And San Francisco used to have like 20 something comic shops. It has 8 now. Well, I'm keeping an eye on the Comic Outpost, which is my old shop. It's called the Comic Experience Outpost now. And I'm waiting for the shoe to drop on that. That'll make me sad. That'll make me very, very sad. But I'm guessing if things go too long, Brian will probably pull the plug on that one. No statement yet. I checked. It's probably going to be a while. He's probably not going to say anything right now. According to Christie, says stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. Keep Disney away from the Old Republic, says God of Plague for $2. Hell yeah. Absolutely. According to Christie, thank you. Best wrench in the business. Wait, what? You owned a comic shop? I know, right, Merrick? I know. Thank you for the $25, we'll say. Mark C. Both Marvel and DC should be publishing no more than 20 to 25 titles. Last month, Marvel solicited over 80 titles. Mark, you're right again, buddy. Thanks for the $5. Yes. Frickin' hail, Mark C. God damn, I love Mark C. Rama for 100 yen. Honestly, seeing what Marvel Comics are now, I want them to die because they have the Warhammer license. Oh, they do? And the last thing we need is their soy 40K. Listen, it's Warhammer fans. They're freaking brilliant. I love them. Yeah. Wolf of Midnight for $2.79. I don't know if you wrote anything or not. Sometimes it cuts it off. Hang on. Let me see. Sorry, folks. I apologize. They should print comics on hemp paper. Legalize it, bruh. You know what? If it's cheaper, sure. If it's cheaper, why the hell not? All right, I'm gonna wrap things up because I have to do a podcast with Young Ripa, Eric July, one of the sanest voices out there on YouTube. He is way, I mean, as far as like reading comics, way more informed than I am because like he'll read shit I will not touch anymore. And honestly, I haven't read a comic book in a long time, say a year. And I used to read 2 or 3 pretty much every day since I was 5. So do the math. 48 years, 47 years, something like that. Fucking terrible. That's how bad it got. That's how bad it got. When I owned the shop, I read minimum 5 a day, but I had to read 10 comics a day to know what's going on. That's why it kind of shocked me to figure out early on that a lot of shop owners didn't read the books. But I get it after, doing it for 10 years. You can learn a lot by osmosis, just sitting in the shop and listening to people talk. You can get caught up on a book. It's pretty easy. You also make a lot of sales doing that. That's why you need a comic book shop. You need comic book shops to keep this going. They are not just this thing that you think you can you think you can just take that out of the ecosystem, out of the economy of comic books, and it won't send a shockwave through it. You think everything is just going to be okay. I love IndieGoGos. I support IndieGoGos. They are the future, but they are not going to make up for that huge black hole that comic shops will leave if the whole thing goes down. I'm talking about the whole thing. If the whole thing goes down, then it's going to be graphic novels. I mean, forget the pamphlet completely. Kiss it goodbye. If Diamond goes down, what's the threshold? Well, if half the comic shops are gone, I don't see how Diamond survives. If they do, okay, I didn't see it, but I'm not a business genius, obviously. So, but I'm just basing it what I've seen. I've seen this coming for a long time. So have a lot of people, and it doesn't make me happy. It makes me extremely sad. It does. It's why I kind of stay away from the subject, because it does kind of make my stomach hurt a little bit. And not that I'm involved, but I empathize. I empathize. And I remember when New 52 kept me up at night. I was so fucking angry about New 52. I was the one person who wasn't excited about it. I thought it was dumb. And it turned out to be dumb. And then they would thrust weekly comic books on us. Fucking weekly comic books suck. Don't ever do that again. That should be barred forever. So that shit, or when Diamond would do a caution for, when you're ordering in preview, there's a code for each of your orders. Caution 4, basically it means you're going to get a caution 1 is you're going to get your product in 30 days. A caution 2 is like within the next 3 months. Caution 4 is Diamond will send you this product whenever the fuck they feel like it. So when Diamond needs a little extra money, they all of a sudden, I'll order stuff and it'll go on back order and I'll forget it. All right. Some toys for somebody, or all of a sudden Diamond decides to fulfill my back orders. And 1 week I get a $7,000 Diamond bill because like some sideshow statues and Diamond Direct toys got sent to me that I ordered 3 fucking years ago. Yes, they did that shit. That shit happened. And I'm like, I got a $7,000 bill out of fucking nowhere. It's like, and yeah, you get to see your bill early. So I got to see it early. And guess what? You don't get to cancel that shit. It's non-returnable. So I got to see my $7,000 bill, have my heart attack, and eat it. And I eventually sold the shit. But like, I guess it's on me to remember back orders from 3 years ago. And yeah, I guess it is. You make mistakes. Oh, yeah. Okay. So everybody have a great day. Oh, George Mallow for $9.99. Wow. Hey, Gary, Nerdrotic is my place to go to for sanity. It's time for Marvel to go the way of the dinosaur, taking their vagenda politics with them. Then just maybe something can rise from the ashes that might resemble the comics that we all grew up with. Hail Nerdrotic. Yes. Well, the IndieGoGo route, what they're doing right now is traditional superhero. So that's the way to go. That's the way to go. You know what we need right now? We need traditional superheroes. We don't need deconstructed superheroes. Superheroes have been deconstructed for fucking years, and I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it. Simon Cuff, welcome to the Jaloja level. Mr. Roboto, Gary, you got out of the comic shop biz at the right time. I most certainly did. Gary, running to the store. Need any TP? Yes. But are you going to the comic store? They're not open. So buy some Marvel comics. Sorry. We are in lockdown in India too. Take care, everyone. Rama, take care. Thank you for the 40, I think that's Indian dollars. And thank you, Rama. And I hope you're all safe over there. And hail India, by the way. Hail India. Bear Nerd Fun gives me a smiley face on the way out the door. George, I love you. Thank you for the $9.99. That's insane. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. And look for the podcast. I don't know when it's airing, but I'll let you all know. So pay attention to Twitter. I'm going to go talk to Young Ripa because that's fucking awesome, right? Everybody have a great day. Remember, not all who wander are lost, and may the wings of liberty never lose a feather. Ciao, Bella.